lecturer at Hyderabad High School and Junior College. Welcome back to my class. Today, let us deal with the 14th unit of our inter second year, and it is a poem actually, and the name of our poem is Footprints in the Sand. This poem is written by Mary Stevenson. So before beginning with the poem, let us have a pre-reading. What has been given before the poem? Let us see that. When we feel lonely and sad, what do? Most of us look up to someone for solace and comfort. So it is about our personal experience, okay? Whenever we feel sad or lonely, what we will do? We will look for someone, right? We would like someone to accompany us for solace and comfort. Some go to books, yet others to nature. Believers depend on the Almighty. Many are the ways to overcome sorrow. So what here he is saying, some will go to books, right? Some people will take out their time in reading books, and some will turn to nature, right? They love spending time in the nature. They love to see the greenery, birds, animals, and etc. And some believers just completely depends on Almighty, right? They will just sit calmly and just have faith on God. Many are the ways to overcome sorrow. So there are many ways by which a person can overcome sorrow or sadness, we can say. Now let us proceed towards our poet's introduction. Mary Stevenson was born in the year 1896 and she left the world in the year 1985. She was a Scottish born Australian. What does it mean? She was an Australian, but she was born in Scotland. Hence she can be considered as Scottish. She was a political and community activist. During the Second World War, she was a commandant of Voluntary Aid Detachment number 750. She received several awards for her service, including one from Red Cross. She received many awards for her service and her work, but one of her famous award was received from Red Cross. She also worked as the president of YWCA. She was more of an activist than a poet. So, she was a poet, but her main work was a social activist. So, it means that she has taken part in many movements, wars, and etc. So, she was a great lady actually. Now, let us proceed towards the matter of our poem. In short, Footprints in the Sand was written in the year 1936. Mary Stevenson, it is believed, circulated handwritten copies of this poem to those who needed comfort. So, how did she wrote this? Actually, she wrote this poem on pieces of papers, and it is believed that she circulated it among the people who are in solace, right? Who are in trouble actually, who are in sorrow. The poem is a simple but impressive narration of the speaker's dream. So, in this, she is writing about her dream. In the dream, the speaker and the Lord are walking along a beach. Scenes from the narrator's life flash in the sky. For every scene, the speaker sees two sets of footprints, one set of herself and the other of the Lord. So what was her dream actually? In a dream, the speaker, that is the lady Mary Stevenson, was walking on the beach along with God, because she can be able to see two footprints on the sand, and those two footprints were, one footprints were of Mary Stevenson, let us call her as Mary, and the second footprints were of God. So both of them were walking along on the beach. But at places she finds only a single set of footprints, particularly when the scenes from her life reflect sad moments. Surprised, she asked the Lord why he had abandoned her in times of sorrow. So when she turns back and she was able to see two footprints at one place, after some time what happened? At few moments, at few places, she was only able to see single footprints. So she thought that it was hers only, and she was confused that why only my footprints are there, why the God is not there with me. And she recollected the moments that it was the moments when she was in sorrow, when she was sad. So she questioned the God, why you left me when I needed you the most, right? When I was in the sorrow, why you were not there with me? The Lord replies that He never ever leaves anyone who follows Him. The single set of footprints belongs to Him. In testing times, he carries in his arms those who are in difficulties. With this assurance, the poem offers comforts to the grief-stricken. So, when Mary questioned the God why he was not there with her in the times of sorrow, what did the God reply? I never leave my people who are following me, right? The places where you are able to see only single footprints are mine, and you were there in my arms. So it means to say that God always carry you in his arms when you are in difficulties. So by this poem, a person will really feel solace and comfort. We will have a confidence that God is always there with us. So that is very beautifully sketched poem. Let us now begin to the reading session. One night I dreamed a dream. As I was walking along the beach with my Lord, across the dark sky flashed scenes from my life. For each scene, I noticed two sets of footprints in the sand, one belonging to me and one to my Lord. So here what the lady Mary is saying, one night I dreamed a dream. It means that she saw a dream in which she was walking along the beach with my Lord. So she was walking along God on the beach. Across the dark sky flashes scenes from my life. For each scene I noticed two sets of footprints in the sand. So she was able to see two sets of footprints for each scene of his life. That is, for each moment of his life. One belonging to me and one to my Lord. After the last scene of my life flashed before me, I looked back at the footprints in the sand. I noticed that at many times along the path of my life, especially at the very lowest and the saddest times, there was only one set of footprints. So what the lady is saying, after the last scene, right, of my life, when I looked back in the footprints in the sand, she was able to notice that she can see only single footprints at some places or some moments, we can say. And she recollected that those moments were of her sad and sorrow times, right? There was only single set of footprints when she was in sorrow. This really troubled me. So I asked the Lord about it. So she was very sad now, upset now, because she was thinking that God has left her. So she asked the God about that. What did she ask? Lord, you said once I decided to follow you, you would walk with me all the way, right? So what she was questioning here, God, as you said, once if I start following you, you will be there with me all the way, right? Each and every time. But I noticed that during the saddest and most troublesome times of my life, there was only one set of footprints. So what did she say? I noticed that when I was very sad and I was in sorrow or difficulties, you were not there with me because I can only see single footprints on the sand. What is the reason behind this? I don't understand why. When I needed you the most, you would leave me, right? So this was the question. Now let us see what did the God replied. He whispered, my precious child, I love you and will never leave you. Never ever during your trials and testings. When you saw only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. So what did he reply? He whispered. He said very slowly, in a calm way, spoke very quietly, we can say, okay, and said, my precious child, right, my lovely child, I love you a lot and will never ever leave you. Right? I hope we all have the faith that God is there with us each and every time, in each and every moment of our life, right? So here also the God is saying that I will never ever leave you. Never ever during your trials and testings. What is the meaning of trials here? Difficult experiences. Difficulties we can say in our common language. And testings is also a synonym for difficult situations. So during your trials and testings, I will never ever leave you. When you saw only one set of footprints, as you are saying that you saw only single set of footprints, it was a time when I was carrying you, when you were there in my arms. I was holding you tightly in my arms. It means that you are more closer to me. Right? At the time of your difficulties. Don't think that God has leave you in your difficulties or in your sad times. He will be there with you, right? He will carry you. So this is a very beautiful poem that has been sketched by Mary Stevenson. After reading that, I am sure that everyone will feel solace and comfort. I hope you all have enjoyed the poem. Let us continue in our next class.